Hi guys, I'm Takira. Welcome back to my channel. As you guys saw in the title, I am going to be showing you guys my top spring fragrances in this video. And I did want to do a top 10, but it was kind of hard for me to narrow it down. So I do have more than 10 here. I think I have about 13, but I figured you guys wouldn't mind if I gave you some extras. So before we get started, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel because that really helps my channel out. Also, drop your scent of the day down in the comments as I always ask you to because I love to hear what you guys are wearing. So this won't be in any particular order besides my scent of the day as usual. And today I am wearing two fragrances. So I'm going to start with this one because it was so generously gifted to me by Perfumes. And this is one of their new Essence de Perfumes, and this is Reckless. It's a gorgeous purple and black ombre bottle, gold cap and gold writing, very luxe, and the back is just like the Enigma. It says a fragrance by Raja Dove. So when the company reached out to me asking if they could send me a fragrance, I was super excited because I don't know, I guess I just never really expected Raja Parfums to reach out to me. Little old me, like who am I? But I went through their new fragrances, looked through all the notes and some of the reviews for the fragrances to see which fragrance I felt I would probably enjoy the most. And of those, Reckless was the one that I picked. I picked this one because of the comparisons to Love Don't Be Shy by Kilian. I noticed a fragrance that I love, and a couple of the reviews that I saw said that this was like a lighter, more spring, summer appropriate version of Love, and I was all for that. So I mentioned the Enigma Parfum Cologne in one of my previous videos, and I believe that the Essence de Parfum line is supposed to have the same concept as that line has. So these perfumes are supposed to perform like Eau de Parfums as far as the longevity is concerned, but they're not supposed to feel heavy or like they're weighing you down. So I believe they're supposed to act as an eau de toilette in that sense, you know, as far as feeling light and airy. So that is very true for this fragrance. The first time I tried it, and this is something I do with all of my fragrances, when I first get them and I first put them to the test, I don't overspray. I do still overspray as far as some people's definition of overspraying is concerned, but instead of spraying like I showed you guys in my spray video, when I first get a fragrance, I always just do one spray in each spot just to see how well the fragrance performs on its own before I go ham with it. Because that just lets me know if I even need to spray that heavily with the fragrance. So for this one, when I sprayed it, just one spray in each spot, I found it to be very light. It was more of a skin scent on me. And my personal preference is to have more of a moderate to heavy projection. So during that first wear, I knew I would need to spray more on for my own liking. But if you're someone who likes skin scents, then spraying it on lightly would be okay for you. But yeah, for me, it was more of a skin scent that first wear. I would get occasional whiffs, but even those whiffs were pretty light. So that's how I knew this would be perfect for the heat, because even though it has a bit of sweetness, and yes, it is kind of similar to Love. I'll get to the scent of the fragrance in a minute. But even though it has a bit of sweetness, because it's so light, I feel like that makes it perfect for the heat. So yeah, after that first wear, I was like, okay, this is more of a skin scent when I spray it like this. So the next time I wore it, I did spray twice in each spot. I always spray my clothes regardless. So that didn't really change much, but I just went in twice in each spot like I showed you guys in my video. And that for me did help to increase the projection. I'd say it was still a light fragrance. It is still a light fragrance, but it just made it project a bit more for me and my personal liking. It's still an intimate scent for me, but when I spray it a bit more heavily, it leaves me in my own like personal scent cloud. So that was perfect for me, especially when it's warm outside. I don't want anything too heavy or overbearing during hot weather, especially here in Florida, because it does get pretty warm. Right now, even though it's spring, we've still had some cool days, like 60 degrees, even some 50-degree days still. but it does get up into like the 80-degree range during the spring on some days as well. So pretty much the same fragrances I would wear in the fall I could still wear in the springtime here because the temperatures are pretty similar. But longevity wise, it has great longevity. It lasted, well, I wouldn't say great, it was good. It lasted about 8 hours on my skin, which is what I expect from most of my fragrances, especially with how I spray. And like I said, projection wise, it is, when you spray it more heavily, it's more moderate leaning. I'd say still not quite moderate, but more moderate leaning. When you spray it lightly, it's more of a skin scent. So that's something to keep in mind. Fragrance wise, this does smell similar to Love to me, and it does smell like a more summer, spring version of Love, and that's what I'll be using it for. I could see this being a flanker of Love in that sense. But for me, I think I actually prefer the fragrance of this fragrance to Love, because this does have a neroli note in it still, but there's nothing about this that is off-putting to my nose. And for me, a neroli note in general can sometimes be a bit off-putting. Me and neroli don't always get along, I'll just say that. But in this fragrance, I don't find it off-putting at all. I do smell it, but the way it comes off in this fragrance, it kind of smells like nectar-like. I don't know if that makes sense or not. I don't get it like that in any other fragrance. But yeah, it just kind of smells like a flower nectar. So for me, I'd say this is more of a more floral, a more light, slightly less sweet version of Love Don't Be Shy. It does still have that like fluffy, airy, vanillic, marshmallow-like sweetness to it, to my nose. But then the florals are definitely there, and I'd say the floral for me and on my skin is what's most prominent. I do get a bit of citrus in the opening primarily. It does stick around a bit, but it's more prominent in the opening. It's like a sweet, tangy mandarin orange scent, accompanied with the nectar like neroli notes, and then that fluffy, airy, vanillic, marshmallow-like sweetness. So I really enjoy this fragrance, and I'm very thankful for Eye Parfums for them reaching out to me and asking if they could send me something, and I'm very happy that I picked this one because it was a blind pick. But I told you guys I'm pretty good at blind buying stuff at this point because I know what I like. So yeah, this one has worked out for me. I've already worn it. Today would be, I think, like the 4th time I've worn it. So I've worn it a few times already, and it doesn't have that much of a dent for me to have worn it that much because I don't think the atomizer sprays out a whole lot, but the atomizers on these bottles are amazing. I just love how they disperse the fragrance. I just want to show you guys real quick. I didn't mean to do that. I have the fan on, so I should have known it was gonna blow back at me. But I think you guys saw what I mean. They just kind of, it's very light, and it's like an elegant atomizer. But yeah, anyway, that is the first fragrance I have in this list, and this is part of the layering combo that I have on today. And again, that is Reckless Essence de Parfum, because they do have a Reckless Parfum, I believe. I haven't tried that one, but this is the Essence de Parfum, and I think they are different. So keep that in mind. So I'm gonna try not to talk too much about the rest of these fragrances. I think I just got a bit excited about that one. But yeah, if I talk that long about the rest of these, we'll be here all day since I have 13. So I'm gonna try to speed through the rest of these because most of them you guys have seen before, so I'm not gonna talk about them too much. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section as usual. So the next fragrance I have here is the other half of my layering combination, and you guys have seen this on my channel a million times. It's no stranger here, y'all know I love this. This is Armani C Fiori. Here's the bottle looks like. It's like a soft pink opaque bottle. You can see through it though if you put it up to the light, but this combination was kind of impromptu, I guess you could say. I already had on C Fiori today, and I sprayed Reckless on because I felt like they would smell good together. This does have a neroli note, and I've never talked about the neroli note in this fragrance because kind of like with that one, it doesn't bother me in this fragrance at all. And when I sprayed it on today, I actually noticed it for the first time. Like I never noticed it before then. But it's like a lightly citrus floral note that it has in the opening for me primarily, and after that I don't really get it anymore. But I've told you guys previously, this to me smells like Bazooka bubblegum with the powdery dusting and all, and then it has a creamy, buttery vanilla note as well. So that's what I get from this fragrance pretty much throughout the entire wear, besides the opening with that little bit of neroli that I get that I just told you guys about. So yeah, and I really enjoy this combination. It's very spring appropriate, I had to say. And yeah, performance wise, I'd say moderate projection. It does do a disappearing act on my skin, I've noticed, meaning that other people will be able to smell it even if I've stopped smelling it myself. But yeah, I'd say moderate projection and moderate longevity as well, 6 to 8 hours. So again, that is Armani C Fiori. So since I brought up Enigma a minute ago, it is actually part of my list. I did tell you guys in the video where I discussed it that I do prefer it when it's warm outside. So that's why I'm including it in my spring lineup, because that's when it starts to get warm here in Florida. Well, it's pretty much warm year round. It's just the weather here is very bipolar. Like it could be 60 degrees one day and 80 literally the next. You just never know. You never know. This is Enigma Parfum Cologne by Perfumes. This was also sent to me, but this one was sent to me by Fragrance, as I mentioned in my haul video. Like I said, it says the same thing on the back as the Reckless one does. Love. And this is actually targeted towards men, but I find it perfectly unisex. So as I mentioned in that video, this smells to me literally like a vintage woody cherry vanilla Coke from like beginning to the end. There's a bit of sweetness. It has a vanilla note, I believe, and a benzoin note. So I believe the sweetness is coming from those notes to my nose. And I feel like that vintage quality that I get from this fragrance comes from the benzoin note. I find, like I said in that video, that it's more toned down in warmer weather, which is my preference. I don't dislike that vintage quality that this fragrance has, but I do prefer it to be more so in the background, more toned down, and I prefer the sweet cherry vanilla Coke fragrance to be more amped up. And I find that when it's warmer outside, that's how it performs for me, which is my own personal preference. So as I mentioned, don't let the name fool you. It's a Parfum Cologne, but like I said, it's kind of like with the Eye Parfum. It's meant to last as long as an eau de parfum, but feel as light and refreshing as an eau de cologne. So I think they mastered that with this. And those are Raja Dub's own personal concentrations. He created those concentrations himself, so they're exclusive to him. Longevity wise, at least 8 hours on skin and longer on clothing. And this one has great projection for me. It projects really well without feeling too heavy on my skin, which is why I think it works perfectly in the heat as well. So again, that is Enigma Parfum Cologne by Perfumes. So next I have another fragrance you guys have seen on my channel, and this is by YSL, and this is Libre Intense. That's what we're looking like. I was deciding between whether or not I wanted to put this one and the original Libre in my spring lineup, but I think I actually wore this one day, and it was a nice, beautiful spring day. It was like 70 something degrees, and I felt like this went perfectly in that type of weather. I actually find that this fragrance performs better when it's warmer outside for me. It's crazy. I know I included this in my signature scent video, and I'm pretty sure that's why I did. It performs really well in the heat. It is sweet, but for me, I don't find that it becomes overwhelmingly sweet in the heat. I think that orange blossom note kind of keeps it tempered, and the orange blossom along with the lavender, it keeps it tempered and more of a fresh sweetness, if that makes sense. This is vanilla, lavender, and orange blossom, similar to the original, but for me, the vanilla note in this one is more amped up. So this one is a bit sweeter. The lavender note is a bit toned down, so it's a bit less aromatic. And the orange blossom note is a bit toned down as well, so it's a bit less fresh, because orange blossom tends to make a fragrance more fresh for me, I've noticed. I really enjoy this fragrance. Performance is good in the heat. I'd say that this one has more of a soft to moderate projection. I feel that it's one of those intimate scents that will have you in your own little scent cloud, and if somebody comes into your scent cloud, then they will be able to smell it. But it doesn't project a whole lot. It's not a huge projector. It's not gonna knock anybody out, I don't think. Longevity wise is good as well. I believe I get about 6 to 8 hours. So again, that is Libre Intense by YSL. So I'm gonna talk about this next fragrance because I find it to be kind of similar to Libre Intense in a way, and I'll explain that. So this fragrance is by Valentino, and this is Voce Viva. Very pretty bottle. And this dent is huge already. I haven't had this super long, but I've been decanting my fragrances a bit, and this is one of those that I've decanted quite a bit. So that's the reason for the dent, and I have been wearing it too. I really do enjoy this, especially in the heat. So like I mentioned, this kind of reminds me of Libre Intense. They're not extremely the same by any means, but this does still have that, it has a prominent vanilla and orange blossom note in this as well to my nose. But to me, the vanilla note here is more of like a vanilla musk. It's still sweet and creamy, but it's also a bit powdery and clean. Like in the dry down for me, that vanilla note, I guess it probably does have a musk note as well. I don't know for sure, I can't remember off the top of my head. But in the dry down, it's like a, what I imagine a vanilla, a vanilla scented laundry powder to smell like. What it smells like in the dry down to me, which I love. I love a good freshie as well. I'm very diverse, I think, when it comes to fragrance. I like a little bit of everything, I think. As long as it has a little bit of sweetness, I'm usually okay. But yeah, the orange blossom is there as well. And like I said, it just adds a bit more freshness. And I think it's pretty similar to Libre. Like I said, the main difference is this does not have a lavender note for one. So it's not, you know, it doesn't have that lavender quality, that prominent lavender quality that the Libre fragrances have, which is why it's more similar to the Intense to me. And also the vanilla here is like a musky vanilla to my nose instead of that sweet. It isn't syrupy and intense, but it's just more of a sweet vanilla as opposed to like a clean powdery one. I really enjoy this. I think it's perfect for the spring. Projection wise, I say soft to moderate. It's not a huge projector. It's another one of those intimate scents. It's gonna keep you in your own little scent bubble. And longevity wise, 6 to 8 hours. So yeah, again, that is Voce Viva by Valentino. So I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about the next one you guys haven't seen on my channel, so I can get those out the way and hopefully breeze through the rest of these. So I've actually had this one for a while. I think I got this sometime last year, but you guys haven't seen it on my channel yet. This is My Way by Armani. That's what the bottle looks like. And yeah, I think my dent kind of gives away how long I've had this for. So I actually think this one works really well year round, even though when you first smell it, it kind of like immediately reminds me of warmer weather, but I think it's really good year round personally. This fragrance I think is supposed to be a tuberose fragrance, and I'm guessing it's more of a bubblegummy tuberose. I don't even really smell tuberose in this, so that's what makes me think it's more bubblegummy, because I get a prominent fruitiness from this fragrance. Oh, I forgot to mention that with Voce Viva as well. There is a fruitiness that I get from it. I noticed that both of these have bergamot listed as a note, and there's no other like fruity notes, but they both have a very like, to my nose, I pick up like a juicy fruitiness. I don't know what fruits exactly. For this one, it kind of smells like strawberry to me, like fresh picked strawberries. In Voce Viva, I can't pinpoint it, but there is a juiciness to it. And I've never, before these two fragrances, I've never experienced bergamot like that in a fragrance. To me, it normally comes off as like a green, lightly spicy citrus note, not like a juicy fruity note. But yeah, I definitely get that with both of these fragrances. For me, that's the most prominent thing in this fragrance, so maybe it's the tuberose that's giving me that juicy fruitiness. When I first sprayed this, and still to this day, it kind of reminds me of fresh picked strawberries and honeysuckle. The floral in this kind of reminds me, it smells like honeysuckle to me, and there is no honeysuckle note, so I don't know if I'm just crazy or what, but that's what I get. It's a floral, but it's a sweet floral, and this has amazing performance. This lasts forever on my skin. And this is not one that I need to overspray, nor do I. I do one spray in each spot when I wear it, because if I spray too much of this one, it will overwhelm me. So I really do enjoy this fragrance, and I think it's great for spring and probably even summer. So again, that is My Way by Armani. I said that was the last fragrance that you guys haven't seen on my channel before, but I don't think you guys have seen this one either. And I've had this one for a while too, and I have been wearing it, but I felt that season wise it probably would be most appropriate in like spring and possibly even fall, but this to me screams spring. So the fragrance I'm talking about is Scandal Eye Parfum by Jean Paul Gaultier. Look at the legs. And as you can see, I have a dent. I have been wearing this. I wear my fragrances. Y'all know this. It's probably gonna sound crazy. This smells like what I'd imagine sour pear gummy rings to smell like. Y'all know those like peach gummy rings and they have apple. I've never seen a pear flavor, but this smells like what I'd imagine a pear one to smell like. So good. That's the most prominent thing that I get in this fragrance, but it has more depth to it than that. And y'all know Jean Paul Gaultier loves only showing like 3 fragrance notes. I get so much more than that in this fragrance. In the opening, I feel like I definitely smell some patchouli. It doesn't last throughout the entirety. I just get it in the opening, and it's not super strong, but it is there. There's a bit of green, slightly earthiness to it in the opening, along with that sour pear gummy ring scent. And then as it dries down on my skin, I get what to me smells like vetiver. It's like a smoky woodiness, and it just kind of gives the fragrance a bit more depth. It's not super prominent, but I swear I get it. And even smelling it here on the cap, I smell it. So yeah, I really enjoy this fragrance. It does still have the Scandal DNA. That's not lost in this fragrance, but this is more of, like I said, like a spring fall version of those fragrances, because I find those, the Scandal by Night and the original, to be more cool, cold weather appropriate. Cold for me, specifically with nights. I don't have the original because I sampled it, and as that one dried down, that patchouli became way too much for me, along with that sweetness, and I could not take it anymore. But Scandal by Night is perfect. I actually wore it yesterday. It was cooler here yesterday, and oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. I got a lot of that cherry note yesterday. But anyway, that's besides the point. I do really enjoy this, and I think it's great for spring. Of course, it has great performance. All the Scandals have, in my personal experience. Projection wise is great. I don't have to overspray this one spray in each spot. It's good for me, and longevity is great as well. So yeah, again, that is Scandal Eye Parfum by Jean Paul Gaultier. Now I think I've shown the rest of these to you guys already before. So next here I have I Don't Need a Prince by My Side to Be a Princess by Kilian, which I have seen and know I love. And I really hate that this bottle is opaque, because I think I am like almost out of this, if I'm not out already. Let me see. You see, like it's barely coming out. So this is the marshmallow scent, as I mentioned, but it's a fresh take on marshmallow. It has that green tea note that kind of just, it tempers the sweetness of this fragrance and adds a bit of greenness to it as well. And then of course the marshmallow is there, and it's like a sweet, airy, fluffy like sweetness that you would associate with a marshmallow note. And it also has a ginger note as well that adds a bit of spiciness to this fragrance. So for that reason, just saying that out loud, I think that makes this fragrance a bit unique. People say it's basic, generic. Y'all know how that goes, but how could those notes not be or smell unique together? To me, it smells unique, and I really enjoy this fragrance. It's a gourmand, but like I said, it has that fresh quality that makes it to where I really enjoy this in the heat. I actually prefer this one in warmer weather because I feel like it performs better then. In cooler weather, I feel like it kind of gets lost a bit, but when it's warm outside, it kind of just helps to amplify the scent. And I feel like when it's warmer too, you do get a bit more of that sweetness and a bit less of that green quality that can bother some people, I've noticed, based on reviews. Projection, I'd say soft to moderate. It's like an in-between, one of those intimate scent bubble scents that I've mentioned with most of these. And longevity wise, I get 6 to 8 hours. That seems to be a theme in this video, intimate scents and then like 6 to 8 hour longevity, but yeah, that's what I get with this one. So again, that is Kilian, I Don't Need a Prince by My Side to Be a Princess, or for short, as most of us call it, Princess. So next I have Idole by Lancome, and this is just the original. Peep the dent, y'all know I love it. So I was trying to decide whether or not I wanted to include this one in my spring video or my summer. And that's something that I need to note. Most of the fragrances that you guys will see in my summer video, I will wear in spring. And I'll wear some of these in the summertime as well, but most of the time I'll leave my more floral or fragrances that I find a bit too sweet for summer to spring / fall. So this one is It's still fresh, as I've mentioned previously, but it does have a sweetness to it that I feel would be fine in the summertime. But I feel like I would have to be in the mood for it in the summertime because it gets really hot here. And I don't want anything too sweet when it's hot like that. So like I said previously, this is a sparkling, sweet, juicy pear with a like a velvety, lightly powdery rose, and then like a creamy, sweet vanilla note. This is beautiful. I love it. You know, some people don't. That's their prerogative. But I think it's a beautiful fragrance. It's definitely a people pleaser. This is one that I almost always get a compliment on when I wear it, and I love it myself as well. Projection wise, it's great. I'd say this one is moderate, maybe even heavy leaning, which is great for a freshie, because if you wear fresh fragrances, they tend to not have a whole lot of projection. This is like I'd say this is like a fresh fruity floral though. But projection is great, longevity is great, and I really enjoy this fragrance. So again, that is Idole by Lancome. This next fragrance, I'm pretty sure you guys have seen on my channel, but it may have been a while. Maybe like, was it in my haul video, my fragrance net haul video? I don't know if you've seen it since then. No, it was in a fruity floral summer fragrance video that I did last year, I'm pretty sure. But this is by Versace, and this is Eros Parfum. I used to not care about not having the cap, but I kind of wish it did now. Like, it looks naked without the cap. So at first, this one was not on my spring list because I hadn't worn it in a while, but I wore it the other day, and for me, I feel like this one would be a bit too sweet now for the summertime. But it was perfect on that cool spring day. I wore it layered with this Victoria's Secret scent. I forgot the name of it. I'm the worst. No, it's Very Sexy C. That's what it was. And that one kind of reminds me a bit of light blue. It's a bit sweeter, I'd say, and it doesn't have an apple note or anything. It's like a sweet lemon scent, but not super sweet. It still has a bit of zest to it, and it's not as sweet as this, so it kind of calmed the sweetness down in this fragrance a bit. But yeah, that's besides the point. I'm always getting off topic. People say it smells like the white gummy bear. I'm pretty sure that's the one they say, or clear gummy bear, I guess that would be. To me, it smells like a raspberry lemon candy. I wasn't ever big into gummy bears, so I don't really know what they smell like. Well, I guess they're going based off of how the white or clear gummy bear tastes. I think that one is like pina colada or something like that, but to me, this smells like raspberry and lemon candy, but it also has a bit of like freshness to it, a fresh zing to it. Even though it's sweet, there's still like a fresh, almost powdery, clean quality to this fragrance. I noticed that I get that with a lot of my Versace fragrances. It's like that, I'd say it's like their Versace DNA. It's almost like a fresh, clean laundry scent to my nose, or like a laundry powder scent to my nose. So yeah, it still has that even though it's sweet, so that kind of keeps it from being too sweet even in the spring heat. And it just smells really nice. And it's one you just don't have to think about too much. You can just throw it on and know you smell good. So yeah, performance wise, it has good projection, good longevity. I've noticed that that's a theme as well for me with the Versace fragrances. I don't have to overspray them. One spray in each spot with those is good. If I do too much, they kind of annoy me a bit. It's kind of a good thing though. I like when I don't have to overspray. But yeah, longevity wise, it's good as well for me. About 8 hours, and that's for most of the Versace fragrances as well. But yeah, anyway, again, that is Versace Eros. Eau de Toilette, I don't know if I said that, but there is an Eau de Parfum, which I do not like. This is the EDT. So next I have Mon Exclusive by Guerlain. And this one is one of those fragrances that just screams spring to me. Like I mentioned, it is a sweet lavender and vanilla scent, just like Mon Guerlain. If you have Mon Guerlain and not this one, that one would be a great spring fragrance as well if you really enjoy that fragrance. As I mentioned, I prefer this one to Mon Guerlain. Something about it was a bit off-putting to me, but this one is perfect. So it does have a lavender note. It's a bit herbal, and the vanilla here is a sweet, creamy vanilla. There's also a bit of fruitiness, I think. Something smells a bit juicy about it to my nose. I don't know what fruits are in it off the top of my head, but something does smell a bit juicy. And like I said, when it dries down on my skin, there's a prominent toffee note that kind of makes it smell, gives it like a sweet buttery scent that I really enjoy with this fragrance. Almost a bit salty as well, and it may be that solar note that it has. I think it has a solar note, so that might be what's giving me that bit of saltiness. Really enjoy this one. The Guerlain exclusive. These fragrances for me didn't have the greatest projection. This one I'd say is soft to moderate, but more on the softer end. I do overspray this one. I do, like I did in my video, I do 2 sprays in each spot when I wear this one because it's so soft. And that for me makes it to where it's more of an intimate scent cloud scent for the majority of the wear. But if I spray it just once in each spot, it'll be more of a skin scent with the occasional whiff. Spraying it a bit heavily is my preference because I like to be able to smell my fragrances for the majority of the wear. So I really enjoy this fragrance. Longevity wise, it has great longevity, 8 hours. Again, that is Mon Exclusive by Guerlain. So next I have a fragrance that you guys have seen as well. Well, I told you guys the rest of these were fragrances that you guys have already seen on my channel. But this is Kilian Deja Vu White Flower 57. As you can see, I have a nice little dent in her because I did wear her in the fall as well. I feel like this is perfect for both fall and spring. So like I've told you guys previously, don't let the name scare you. If you are not into overly floral fragrances like myself, this isn't anything to be afraid of. Even though it says white flower in the name, there's more to it than just the floral aspect. To me, as I mentioned, it opens up with that prominent white floral. It's the tuberose is most prominent in this to my nose. So it opens up with that, and then patchouli in the opening. Those are pretty prominent to me in the opening, but they settle almost immediately. I've mentioned this, and I feel like it sounds crazy every time I say it, but the patchouli here, it's like a green patchouli. It's not that earthy, wet soil patchouli to my nose. And it also, I feel like the patchouli note is what gives it a bit of like effervescence. Something about it is a bit fizzy to me. Especially in the opening, and I noticed that with Elixir as well, which does have a very prominent patchouli note in it. So I think that's what it is. I don't know for certain, but the tuberose here is a creamy, buttery tuberose, which I told you guys that's one of my preferences when it comes to tuberose. Either I like for it to be creamy and buttery, or I like for it to be bubblegummy. And this fragrance, I'd say, is more creamy and buttery. And then what keeps this from being like overly floral is it has a prominent vanilla note on my skin. It's a sweet, creamy vanilla note, and it also has a bit of a juicy, sweet nectarine note in it as well that I get. I'd say it's a sweet, warm, fruity floral. I'd say it's more floral than it is fruity. But still, like I said, don't let that scare you. If you like a nice, sweet, warm vanilla floral scent, then I feel like you would enjoy this fragrance. At least give it a sample if you're nervous about it and you were interested in it. But I do really enjoy this. This is Kilian Deja Vu White Flower 57. So last but not least is my baby. Y'all know I love this. Y'all have seen this a million times on my channel. Probably are tired of me talking about it, but I love what I love. So this is by Mugler, and this is Alien Fusion. Ooh, almost dropped it. As you guys can see, I've used more than half of this fragrance. So yeah, obviously I love it. So as I mentioned, this smells like bit red bubblegum to me. The tuberose in this is like a bubblegummy tuberose, and it also has a cinnamon note in it. So I think that combined kind of reminds me of a cinnamon flavored bubblegum, which is why I say big red, because that is a cinnamon flavored bubblegum. But there is a bit of freshness to this as well from that orange blossom note, and I swear it had that alien jasmine, even though it doesn't have that mentholated quality that I can get from the alien jasmine. It does still somehow manage to have the alien DNA, and I don't know how that's possible without having that jasmine in this fragrance. But the cinnamon, the ginger, and the tuberose is what I feel gives me that spicy bubblegummy scent. I really enjoy it. I don't think, as I mentioned, I don't think you're gonna be walking around smelling like big red bubblegum if you spray this on. I don't think you're gonna smell like that to other people. I've told you guys, this is one of those fragrances that I feel projects well without feeling very heavy and overwhelming. I feel like it's one of those fragrances that is intimate and leaves you in your own little scent cloud, and people will be able to smell it if they get into your personal space. But I feel like it projects more than it feels like it does, because I told you guys, I wore this to the office one day, and when I left my office and then came back, the office smelled like this fragrance. It smelled amazing. It didn't smell like Big Red bubblegum. It just smelled like a sweet, warm, spicy floral fragrance. But that just let me know that it projected more than I even thought it did. So it has good performance. Longevity wise, I get about 6 to 8 hours. And yeah, I love it. So again, that is Alien Fusion by Mugler. And I feel like if you don't like that mentholated jasmine note in Alien and that's your main issue with it, you might enjoy this fragrance more. I'll say that this one is a bit sweeter than Alien is to my nose as well, and it doesn't have that mentholated quality that I get from the original Alien and some of the other flankers. So yeah, okay guys, that was the last fragrance that I had to show you today. I hope this video helped some of you guys out, and if you have any questions, of course, leave them down in the comment section, and also let me know what you guys are excited to wear this spring. I did want to do this video earlier. I always tell myself to do the videos for my seasonal fragrance list before the season starts, but for whatever reason it never happens. Here we are, already I think like 2 weeks into spring, and I'm doing this video, but better late than never. Spring isn't over yet. So I still hope this video was helpful to some of you guys, and let me know also if some of the fragrances that I mentioned here would be on your spring list as well. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel before you leave, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.